As of today, I am 420 days nicotine free. That includes no nicotine gum, no nicotine patches, no vaping, and most importantly, no cigarettes. Zero, completely cold turkey. I went completely cold turkey on April 25th, 2022, and I have not looked back since. And I'm just so happy about this, man, because it's one of those things that I kind of forgot that I did, but the previous 6 years of my life, I had this crippling addiction to nicotine. Most importantly, when I say nicotine, I mean cigarettes. I don't mean vaping. I jeweled for a little bit. I never got into vaping though because it wasn't a cigarette. It's not the same feeling as a cigarette. There's just something, or there was something so euphoric and amazing about smoking a cigarette. And the way I first got into it was I was 21 and we went to this formal for my fraternity. My date was this incredibly beautiful Russian girl. She smoked cigarettes and a few of us were outside. She was smoking a cigarette and she's like, "Oh, you don't smoke cigarettes?" I'm like, "No, I don't smoke." And she takes a cigarette and she puts it in my mouth like this. At that point, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm smoking it now. So I smoked it, didn't really think much about it. I think I had maybe a few more that night. And at the end of the night, me and some friends went to a McDonald's. And there was a guy outside smoking a cigarette. So I go up to him and I ask him, I'm like, "Hey, can I bum a smoke off you?" And instead of giving me one, he gave me his entire pack of smokes. And I'm like, wow, what a generous guy. Thank you. And it took me a week to finish that entire pack of smokes. It was almost full. I think it was like maybe 17 or 18 cigarettes in there. And it took me about a week to finish it. So some of my friends were like, "Oh, you're a smoker now." I'm like, "No, I'm not a smoker. It's just, this guy gave me a pack. It's taken me so long to finish it. At the time I could barely get through one cigarette, barely, without having to take a break because that's how it is." But I was told a lot of things as a kid about cigarettes, and one of the things I remember distinctly is you might remember your first time having a cigarette, but you won't remember the time you got addicted. And that's true because I don't remember the time when I got addicted to smoking. It just happened, just like everything else. And also at the time, the people I was hanging out with, I would say 90% of them were smokers themselves. This was I want to say it was maybe 2016, 2017. So vaping hadn't really caught on yet. I remember when the Juuls came out, I got one right away. And if you guys remember those Juuls, I would finish 2 pods a day. Because to me, smoking, I love the feeling of smoking and you get that little tingle in the back of your throat. I love that feeling so much. And as a smoker, there is literally nothing better on earth than smoking a cigarette. I was also working as a cook at the time for at least like about 2 of these years. And, being a cook is a very hard job. And if you've ever worked in a cooking industry or anything in the kitchen, I would say almost everyone in there smokes cigarettes because it's a way to go take a quick break and not be in the kitchen, where it's all hot. You get to go and have a 5-10 minute break outside, smoke a cigarette, just relax and chill out. It's a way to kind of escape that, right? And some of my friends, they would smoke maybe 5-6 cigarettes a day. Me, I smoked at least a pack a day, because I just liked it. I wouldn't go and have 1 cigarette. I would go and have 2, maybe 3 at a time. I would just chain it back to back to back. I love those things so much. And I smoked everywhere. I'm talking, I smoked at home. The first thing I would do after waking up is go to my balcony and have a cigarette. Before doing anything else, I wouldn't go to the bathroom, wouldn't get water, wouldn't check my phone. I would immediately go to the balcony and have a smoke. When I was in my car, there was nothing I liked to do more than to roll down my driver's window and smoke with the left hand and have the right hand on the wheel. That just, to me, was enjoyable. It meant I was enjoying myself. And this went on for years. And I tried so many different ways to quit. There was a time I quit smoking for about, I want to say 2 or 3 months, but I started right back. And I just could not get past it. There was just something about those sticks that were so desirable. It got to the point where the smoke, like the smell of cigarettes, it made me happy. I mean, cigarettes now, I smell it and I'm like, oh my God, that's horrible. But back then, it was like, oh my God, a cigarette, it smells incredible. I want a cigarette now, and I would go and light one. Towards the end of my addiction, I remember, here's how delusional I was. I made it a goal in the last 2 years of being a smoker of trying to quit every single day. And I failed it every single day. I would literally go in the morning, I would buy a pack of smokes. I would smoke as many cigarettes as I could. At the end of the night, I may have maybe, 6, 7 cigarettes left in the pack. I would throw away the pack and the lighter and say, I'm quitting now. I'm not going to be a smoker. The next day, I get in my car. First thing I do is go to the gas station, buy a new lighter and buy a new pack, and then do the same thing over and over again. This went on for years. That's the level of delusion that I was in. And of course, when I was first smoking cigarettes, the first maybe 4 years, I didn't really realize any negative effects of it. I didn't really think it was negatively affecting me at the time. And I was like, it's cool. No problem. I'll quit later when I'm older. It's all good. But towards the end of my addiction, I really did notice that I was having trouble breathing. And this was a constant thing. I was having trouble just taking a deep breath. Like, I could not complete that breath. It would always just end abruptly before I could take the full deep breath in. And that always kind of bothered me, right? Of course, at the time, I was also living a very sedentary lifestyle. I wasn't working out at all. I was literally just giving into my addictions and smoking just to pretty much remind myself. I would smoke to relieve myself of the anxiety that my addictions caused me. That was the vicious cycle that I was in. I would smoke because the pain of being an addict was too great, and I would try to alleviate it by smoking more. Go figure. That's what addiction is. That's exactly what it is. And I started to cough so badly, and to this day, I've never heard anyone else, whether it's in real life or a movie or a TV show, cough with the same ferocity and intensity that I was coughing at. I mean, it was to the point I was coughing, my ribs would hurt, my back would hurt. I would get ridiculously bad headaches because I was coughing so much and I was not able to breathe properly. I would wake myself up at night because of how loud I was coughing. I was spitting black. I'm sure I was also waking up my roommates at the time because I just could not stop coughing. And I started to realize towards maybe early 2022, so I quit in April 25th, 2022. In early 2022, I started to realize, hey, like, this is not going to work out anymore. And, I mean, I tried so many different ways to quit. None of them worked. And I was like, I have to quit these things. It's getting to a point where I feel like I'm getting to the point of no return. And if I don't quit soon, then it's going to really cause some problems for me later on in my life that I can't get rid of. I'm still a very young guy. And I'm like, if I quit now, I feel like I'll be good. I started to realize that the best part of being a smoker was lighting the cigarette and taking that first puff, or literally walking outside to have that cigarette, was the best part of smoking, because smoking did not really give me the same joy that it used to anymore. It just wasn't the same. And the act of giving into the addiction itself was better than the actual addiction. So I remember this really, really well. I was once walking down the stairs in my house to go to the balcony to have a smoke. And I was like, man, this right here, like this feeling, what I'm feeling now, I'm about to give into my craving. This is the best part about it. And I'm like, yeah, this is it. So I tried many ways to quit, and I remember I searched an article online about this guy named Alan Carr, who apparently was a smoker for like 30 years. And he quit cigarettes cold turkey one day and never looked back. And I'm like, huh, I wonder what he did. And it turns out this guy wrote a book. Of course, I was like, oh, God, he wrote a book. I hate books, like with a passion. I hated books as much as I loved cigarettes. That's a good comparison to make. And I'm like, I'm not going to read the book. Luckily, somebody had summarized the book into 10 little parts in an article. And I read that article, and it kind of just made me realize that everything I wanted from my life that I thought I was getting from cigarettes, I was going to be getting once I quit them. Of course, I kept reading this article over and over and over again to try to memorize every single word on that page. And I said, you know what? I'm going to quit tomorrow. Because something in that article that was different than everything else I'd read previously is this guy, he was saying you should set a date to quit, and until then, enjoy every cigarette you have. And I never thought of it that way, you know? I never thought about it like that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna quit tomorrow, and today I'm gonna chain smoke whatever I have left. The next day, I was like, I'm done. But of course, like any other addict will tell you, especially cigarette addicts, it's a lot easier said than done. So that day was a very, very hard day. April 25th, 2022 was a very hard day for me. I remember leaving the house on 2 separate occasions to go buy a pack of smokes because I was like, I can't do this. I need a smoke. I need some nicotine. And somehow, some way, on the walk to the gas station to buy the cigarettes, I talked myself out of it. And I ended up not buying it. And before you knew it, I went 24 hours. Then I went 48 hours. Then I went 72. And all of a sudden, I was done. One of my roommates at the time, this guy was a very heavy smoker himself, and he loved cigarettes just as much as I did. You know, he still smokes, but I guess him seeing me quit, I noticed he started to smoke a lot less as well. And I would see him smoke often. I mean, he kept smoking, right? And I wasn't craving it when he was smoking it, which was kind of weird because that's never really happened before. Usually if I see someone smoking a cigarette, I'm like, I want one too. But that didn't happen. And, well, I guess I kind of realized, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm no longer a smoker. And now it's been over a year, you know, 420 days to be exact. By the way, that wasn't calculated. Like, literally today I was like, I'm going to make this video. And I'm like, how many days has it been since April 25th? Oh, 420 days. What a coincidence. To this day, if I'm ever drunk or if I'm at a concert or a rave or something like that, I'll crave a cigarette. I really will. And what I'll do is I'll take my fingers like this and just do that and pretend like I'm smoking, and that will actually help alleviate the stress or the craving that I have at the moment and say, you know what? No, it's okay. I don't want it anymore. And I'm just really happy because after I quit, I was able to start breathing fully again, which was something that I hadn't felt for years. You know, I was able to walk up a set of stairs and not get completely winded. I was able to taste food so much better and smell things so much better than I did before. And other than the very rare craving, like I was saying when I'm drunk or at a festival, I never want cigarettes anymore, which, thinking about it now, that's something I never thought I would ever say, because I was so engrossed into this addiction that I never thought I would actually quit. But I'm really happy I did. And it's possible, you know, no matter who you are, if you want to quit cigarettes, it is possible to quit them and not have to worry about smoking again. It's all in here. It really is. And I'm really happy I did it, and I hope I never go back to smoking those damn cancer sticks again. That's all for today. See ya.